I'm back here on this job here again. I was gone for a while, and then with the rain and everything else, so I've been gone a few days. But so I got, I showed the firebox, I showed the building the smoke chamber and all that, and parging it. So that's what that's looking like. The wood, those wood pieces on top of the damper, that's just to keep splatter down. You can see the insulation in there. You see some sand down in the corner, so that damper can move around as it needs to. I'll go into this brickwork here in a second, but the old fireplace that was here, the shoulders, you can see the cutout in the siding. The shoulders on it went that whatever, that's just off, I don't know, off to the side. And now they would like to run the shoulders to the back, so tapered at an angle down to from high down to the back here, off there, in hopes that on this side that might help some of the water problem. So anyways, I just kind of filled up as I went, nothing fancy. As I came up, just kind of filled in with block and whatever. I got this neck down to, this bottom portion was 5 foot wide, and the rest of this, where it goes up through there, is going to be 3 foot. So this is all set for the flue to go on, and once I get going with that, maybe I'll take a video of that. There's a lot of things going on with this house and everything. It's not even close to plumb. It's like another 3 inches out of whack. So I'll maybe explain that as I go. I was a little close when I came through, when I cut my opening back there. I was a little close. It was out by like one course of brick on the angle of this, on how fast I could get outside the house, basically. Is so what I did, I ended up with like 1.25 inches there, 1.5 inches or something, and I like to have 1.5 inches, 2 inches anyways, between the brick of the smoke chamber and the framing of the house. So I have some high heat ceramic insulation there that I tacked on, and you can see I just put some metal over it to keep the critters, the mice and whatever, from chewing on it and building nests in there and whatever. So that's so these brick are, I don't know if I said it before, but they're water struck brick, which are, they're basically sewer brick. The water struck brick, for anybody that doesn't know what a water struck brick is, water struck brick, when they put the clay into the mold, they wipe the mold down and wet the mold down with clay, or with water, excuse me. So when the clay goes in, it's basically a release agent that the water on the edge of the mold will release the clay out. And then other bricks are sanded bricks, right? So it's basically the same thing. They use sand to coat the mold, and then as a release agent. Water strucks, they also, some of them, just by nature, they're harder than a bastard, and they absorb very little water. Because they're, the clay is that much wetter, and sometimes they even like blast them with steam as they're coming out during the firing process, and they become incredibly hard, somewhat brittle, I guess you could say, but definitely hard. They're not like a soft, like a common, even though these are both wood mold bricks, which means they're put into a wood mold. This is a sanded brick, and you can tell by the dust. You see the dust on there? That's all dust from being in a sanded mold. So anyways, these are both a wood molded brick, which are not pretty to start with. You cut a common brick like this, and I don't have a wire cut brick to show, but a wood molded brick. So they're both wood molded. this common. And a lot of the way you can tell too is by the top of this brick. If you look down, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but if you look down that edge, there's like a ridge right there. And because that was put into the mold like that and packed down, and you can see how this top side of the brick is very rough. That's because they take a you know, whatever they use and just cut the clay off. And so they're not, you know, by nature they're not a uniform brick. They're not the prettiest brick ever, but you slam them in and whatever. So that's just a regular common, you know, as you would call it, a sand struck brick. Water strucks, on the other hand, a lot of times, I mean 99.9, I don't know if I've ever seen a nice one. I mean, they're the ugliest brick that you've ever seen in your life, just by nature. I mean, you can see the ripples in the face. I mean, there's no face, there's no front, there's no back. You know, with a wire cut, modern wire cut, there is. But these water structures, there's no front, there's no back, and you can see how irregular they are. They're all banged up. They're humped this way. They're different lengths. I mean, you look at this brick to that brick, even there and there. I mean, you know, some of them are 8 inches long, some of them are 7. You know, they're all different widths. They got big chunks of lime clay in there that didn't get processed. You look at them, they're not even close. I don't know if the camera will show this either, pick this up, but the sides are tapered in like this, and that's for release, you know, to come out of the mold, because once again they're put in like this, and so this is the top and the mold and everything, so it's got to come out. So they taper the sides more, like in at an angle, so that it pops out of the mold easier. But they are just, you know, as far as a pretty brick, they are not pretty. You know, I mean, they are just complete. All over the place, you know. I mean, I mean, look at that one. That's, you know, this, you try and lay the face a little bit plumb, and the you know, it's a 1/4 inch difference from one side to the other, and they're twisted and everything. So anyways, it's you just got, they're a sewer brick, really, is what they are. They're made, you know, pretty much for you know, using in sewers, manholes and everything like that, because they're extremely rugged. They absorb very little water ever. And you know, and they last forever. So but that's how they used to do it in the old days. I mean, they, you know, and I showed you some of those bricks that came out of here, and there's still a pile of them on the ground there and over there that were you know, they're the same thing. They're the real old ones, the 200-year-old ones, are a lot thinner. That's the only difference, really, but they're just as ugly. So anyways, it's kind of a funny, funky look that you get with these things. So the jointing on these is very tricky. I mean, you know, 4 or 5 hours later, they're still just soup, the joints, you know. Laying them is tricky also, because it's like, you know, you'll be trying to adjust this one, and 3 courses down, it'll be squirming all over the place. And that's and that also has that's 99.9% to do with it's the water struck brick. The other factor in it is I'm using Portland and lime mix, and not masonry cement. So, but maybe I'll do a video on Portland lime mix too. But they wanted the whiter joints there. So what I've been doing, the joints look a mile wide, but they're not. They're three bricks to 8 inches. They kind of actually like the way it looks. I mean, it's a little dirty and everything, and stains and everything. But you know, the next day I come in the morning and I scrape off any of the cream that when I jointed it gets out. Like that, it comes out and onto the brick, so I scrape that off, and so it's just a little stain, a little stain in there, and then, you know, I'll acid wash it if I have to. But they kind of like the look of the way it looks, you know, with with a little messier, because that's a lot of times that's the way the old stuff was. But so they're you know, you just gotta kind of lay them as plumb as you can, and I mean, I don't have a level down here, but you know, they vary, and you get some bows in them, and you just gotta kind of go with it, you know, and let the brick do its thing. So I'll check back once I get up there a little higher, put that flue on and get going on the chimney part. Hope you're all good. See ya.